Okay, thanks, Mason. Good morning. Welcome to the Santa Fe Community College Convocation for 2020. This, like so many things right now, is being brought to you straight from my dining room. In this very strange format, we will try to carry on and be able to share this time together. By next fall, we will begin our convocation by acknowledging the land on which we in Santa Fe Community College reside. We at Santa Fe Community College are embarking on a process on the action of acknowledging the land, which will ultimately result in its statement called a land acknowledgement. I can't tell you exactly what this process is going to look like, but what I can tell you is that it will be much like the times. It will be new. There will be new opportunities, new situations, new conversations, new definitions, new dimensions of bravery, accountability, and learning. I don't know exactly what a process of land acknowledgement exactly means, but I know that it's important and that we must do it. So if you're interested in being part of this important work, please contact me and let me know, and we will work on this together. As I started putting my remarks together for today, I immediately was thinking back to a year ago when I spoke to everyone at Convocation in the Hamas rooms, and I want to begin by thanking you all for an absolutely terrific year. 2020, as everyone says, has been really strange, not really that great in so many ways, but I'm going to try to stay away from all the cliches that just inevitably pop up about unprecedented and all of that kind of thing. We all know that. We're in the midst of 3 crises right now, and it's very, very difficult. So obviously COVID dominates our lives pretty much, and we have to deal with COVID in some form or another and with almost everything we do. COVID has exacerbated the financial crisis that Santa Fe Community College would likely have faced due to the oil price tanking anyway, and then also the intense racial crisis that our country and our community are engulfed in right now. All of these together can create sort of a pressure cooker environment. So I've told you all before that I think this is stressful. I know a lot of people have said this is stressful. I think we all just have to acknowledge that it is stressful, and we need to cut each other some slack as we move ahead and start our new semester, work with our students, work with each other, because as I look around and I think about all the people who came together to put Convocation together today and all next week, people are doing the absolute best they can. So I do want to acknowledge a few people who have worked really hard and will work really hard for the next week in making sure that things come together for Convocation week. And that would be really all of the people in academic affairs, marketing and NPR, also Mason Kovacs from OIT, but Lucia Lucero, who always does a great job in putting Convocation together, really had to nail down a lot of details so that I could speak to you, 2 interpreters could speak at the same time, and we could all be in the same space. So in a weird way, even though we're all sitting in our own individual spaces, we are all connected. In a way, it feels even more so than it normally does. There's a different blend of formality and informality, I think, in approaching a convocation this way. So I want to talk for just a minute about COVID. I don't really want to talk about COVID. I think I have to talk about COVID. So I think you all know that we have put together a COVID group that meets once a week, and we discuss all things COVID. I feel like it's kind of become a little bit of, when I say a COVID group, it is sort of like group therapy for people who are having to deal on the front lines with COVID, because everyone has a lot of questions. And even when you think you have an answer, within 3 or 4 days, you might find that the answer has changed. So we are talking about all of the pressing issues that have come up on the campus during the week, maybe things that are unanticipated, things that have gone a little bit differently than we thought. How do we determine how many people can be in the building at one time? What do we do if we get too many people in the building? What do we do if people are in the building that we don't know? All of these kinds of things. So as I've told you before, our primary concern in dealing with everything with COVID is safety for our students, for our faculty and staff, for our community in general. And so we may err on the side of caution in terms of not going forward as quickly as some other places will because they're so eager to get back to normal. But I would prefer to do that than to go too far and then watch people inevitably have to pull back. So a couple of things that that you need to know about COVID situations. First of all, we are going to start implementing as soon as possible like a badging system when you come in one of the entrances where you will have to answer screening questions and also get your temperature checked. So for those of you who have not been on campus since we've closed, when you come in the main entrances, then you will have to get your temperature checked. It's all completely touchless, and also answer some screening questions. At the same time, if you could either present your ID card or wear your name tag, show some kind of photo ID just so we know who you are, because again, you have to wear a mask. And you may think we recognize each other with masks on, but it's not always that simple. So the other thing is, keeping that that ID on you so that if you're in an area that our security staff can know who people are, because we have had some issues with people from the public just kind of wandering in and wanting to know what's going on. The second thing, just to make sure everybody's clear on, is that if while you're working at home, which is the vast majority of everybody right now, if you have a positive COVID test, please let HR know. I'm assuming that you would let your supervisor know too if you need to take any sick leave and you're not able to work at home if you have symptoms. But also HR needs to know, as you probably are aware, we are required to report COVID cases, positive COVID cases, to the Department of Health and the Department of the Environment. And we have a pretty quick turnaround on that. I also want to let you know that we will be doing contact tracing on our campus. So Janelle Moya from nursing will be coordinating that effort. There will be a training available during Convocation next week that anyone can join if you're interested, but certainly people who will be doing contact tracing that Janelle will be coordinating will be taking that tracing. So I feel like we are on top of this as much as we can be. We are staying in contact with all of our peers and really trying to do our best. And the one thing that I can tell you is that there is something different every day. This has truly been one of the most humbling experiences that I think that I've had in my years in working in higher ed. And with that humility in the face of all that's changing, I think we all have to recognize that we have experienced change that's not going to be temporary in some instances. And so the ways that we did things and that we thought were the best way of doing things may not be possible anymore. And it really does require a certain amount of humility to recognize that and to understand that and to figure out how we go forward. So enough philosophizing. One of the more direct fallouts from COVID has affected our enrollment. I don't know if you all have checked our enrollment, but it's low. We projected that it would be low. It's actually not quite as low as we projected, but and this is completely expected. But it does have consequences for our finances, and I just want to make people aware of that. I can say more about that later. But I want to remind everyone that every single one of our students who is here and who is a potential student is extremely important. This is not new. This is not an approach that is related to COVID, but it's incredibly important. And so we may have to change the way we do things to expedite getting students into classes, helping students get into the programs that they need, but we shouldn't be turning anyone away. If someone has a barrier that seems like it's going to require multiple departments to solve, then we will pull multiple departments together to solve that, because it's critically important that we all work together and try to put our students first and try to help our students. I think it takes an incredible act of bravery to come back to college right now, because everything is so up in the air. You know, when you've got kids that are not in school right now, you don't know you don't know whether your job situation is secure. It's clear to me why people may be hesitant to come back to college, but we can help them, and we will help them. And that's the message that we need to be not just saying, but really conveying to students through what we do, so that students will understand that we truly do mean this. I want to say a little something about our speaker who will be here at 11 o'clock. Dr. Gloria Ladston-Billings comes to us through great connections with Dr. S.J. Miller in the Department of Education. That they are colleagues. We wanted to bring in a speaker who is very well known in the equity field, and I met Dr. Ladston-Billings on a Zoom conversation, and not only is she highly, highly accomplished, she's really, really engaging and nice. And I feel like she has what we need to hear at this time. So I hope that you all enjoy her as much as I think that you will. This is a crucial time for us in terms of finding our place in the equity conversation in our community and also in our country, really. One of the things that I am going to push forward at Santa Fe Community College is a group. I don't know whether we want to call them a task force or whatever, but I really want to examine very closely the academic policies and procedures at Santa Fe Community College that have an impact on equity. There are a lot of things that we do that impact all of our students who walk through the door and disproportionately impact students of color, and we're holding them back. And so we're going to take a look at those and identify them and figure out what we can do differently to assist our students and to really level the playing field at our own institution. From my point of view, we can stand up and we can be as vocal about these issues as we can, but until we actually take concrete steps on our campus to do things that will positively impact our students, I don't think we've really done anything very effective. So I will be asking people to join me in that work after the semester starts. I think we need to let things kind of get started. But the overwhelming message from Dr. Ladston-Billings, or Gloria as I think we can call her, is a message of hope. And I think we need that right now more than anything. So even though, we have terrible situations going on around us, I really do feel that we have the ability to really create some positive change that we knew we needed to create anyway. COVID forced us to do some things faster, like get our services and courses online, not in the best way possible, but I am so impressed at the way that our college has handled COVID, made some really positive changes during COVID, and really done our best to assist our students and to help our students complete their programs on time and in a very meaningful way. I can't be prouder to work at this college and to be part of this institution. So I would like to end my remarks today on a positive note also by recognizing our recent retirees. One of the things that is not so great about this situation, the COVID situation and the broadcasting from your dining room and all that business, is that we haven't really been able to have the kind of public celebrations that we enjoy so often at Santa Fe Community College in terms of recognizing our employees. So this is not as nice, obviously, as what we could have done under different circumstances, but I would like to recognize the following people and thank you for your service and for your contribution to Santa Fe Community College. Your legacy will live on at the college for a long, long time. First of all, I would like to recognize Bruno Gagnon from the School of Liberal Arts, then Neil Hunter from the School of Science and Health, Patricia Waker, also from the School of Science and Health, Liz Servio from the School of Liberal Arts, Susan Johnson from Accessibility Services, Andrew Lovato from the School of Liberal Arts, and Behzad Daini from Food Services. All of these people have really made a positive impact on Santa Fe Community College. I am incredibly grateful for your service, And I'm sorry that we couldn't have had cake, but we're having virtual cake, I guess you could say. I want to just recognize again before I end my remarks, the logistic nightmare of putting together this convocation. It's really easy for me to say, well, we're just going to do everything through this way or that way, because I basically go sit down in my dining room and turn on my computer and just start talking. But trying to make sure that we can reach out to not only for this meeting, everyone at Santa Fe Community College, including all of our adjuncts. It's always a higher number than what all of our platforms allow, but trying to work out the details of who has the right log on and everything, and making sure that these work is incredibly difficult. Making sure that all of our participants can fully participate in this and in whatever way that they need through interpretation. It's difficult. So again, thank you to all of the people who put this together, Margaret Peters, Todd Lovato, and all of their staff. It's been challenging, but I knew they would figure it out, and they did. So with that, I want to wish everyone a terrific fall semester. I know this is going to be a weird fall semester, but there are a lot of things with this format that have been surprisingly good to me, where we have participation sometimes on a level that we didn't have when people were expected to show up face to face. And so in that strange way, sometimes we are more connected than we even were before. But again, it's important to the college, it's important to me that we pull together in a way that we haven't before. We always do pull together, but it takes a little bit of extra effort to make sure that everyone is included in this format. So I thank you for that effort. I acknowledge that it's really hard. I acknowledge the stress that everybody's under, and I kind of feel guilty about it because I feel like I probably don't have as much reason to when I'm not having to figure out the details of how this particular web format is supposed to work, which to me truly does feel like rocket science sometimes. But I thank you. And if there's anything that I can do to make your job easier, any ideas that you have for the college, please let me know. So this session was designed to be short. I don't have time for questions right now, but you can always shoot those questions to me through email. And I want to remind everyone that the conversations with the president on Monday at 3:30 will be designed primarily for questions and answers. So way less talking, way more answering your questions. So please bring those with you, and please do be there. And again, I look forward to seeing all of you again at 11 o'clock for our speaker, Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings. I think this will be a truly memorable event and one that we really all need right now. Thank you again. Have a great semester.